I mean, did we really land on the moon?
Oh, man, not this shite again.
Listen, you can tell that the moon landing wasn't faked, because if you look out a telescope at the moon, you can clearly see Neil Armstrong's bones.
You mean the real Armstrong, right?
Yeah, not the shape-changing alien that came back.
Coming up on this LinuxGameCast Weekly, a Steamstravaganza, Carmack whines, Blue says that Linux sucks, Unvanquished is unplayable, and a fun little codpiece. Let's go. And welcome back to another LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers Linux gaming news, reviews, and we're still working on that interview bit, and we've promised it as always. But more importantly, joining me from up north, my friend, my cohort, this partner in crime, he even claims to be my heterosexual life partner, as he did last week, and I'm not sure if I believe him, but here he is, Mr. Svang. How's it going?
You can't deny our love, Ven.
I deny our love, Jordan.
You can't.
Just did.
You know, deep down in that crusty little thing you call heart.
Jordan, do you know what I'm doing right now?
What are you doing?
Denying our love.
Damn it, Ven. I'll win you over one day.
Well,
but also joining us this week is that one guy.
He's back. We
this
thought
one
we got
guy.
rid of him. Pedro Mateus, all the way from Porto.
Hey.
Truly an international crew we have cruising on this week. But we always like to start up with what everyone's been up to, and I get to go first since I did all the hard work. Not really. These guys definitely helped out this week. Not a whole lot. Actually, my digit's better. I can move it, so I'm not a cripple trying to switch the show. Like
I was actually going to ask earlier if your thumb was doing a lot better.
Yeah, that was one reason for the short show, because I really genuinely just wanted to get it over with, because it was a bit excruciating. But outside of that, this man right here has been giving me static about having a certain RAID configuration with some SSDs.
I mentioned it once. I said if you use RAID 0, it's unless it's data you really don't care about, then don't use RAID 0. That's basically it.
Well, basically what I did is I picked up a 2 terabyte spinny old-fashioned media thing. With hard drives, is that what you call them?
Yeah, some hard disk drive.
Threw that in there to back
Old-fashioned
everything out. Yeah, well, after 3 months with an SSD-only system, those things are loud, man.
Yeah, why did you switch to a platter drive?
Well, I just wanted to back up everything.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So
yeah, no, I may have mentioned it last week, but I had installed my SSD into the laptop, and it runs so well now. It's really hard to go back to platter drives.
Man,
it really is.
You were like
Yep.
giggling like a Catholic schoolgirl who had sex for the first time, but yet doesn't know she's pregnant.
Well, I know I'm pregnant this week because I peed on that little stick thing.
That's not mine. What else have you been up to, man?
You say so, but we'll let Maury Povich have the final word.
So what's been going on your side?
I hate Zen. I hate it a lot, and I wish it would just go away.
What is Zen for people who might not know?
If you don't know what Zen is, it is one of the main virtualization technologies on Linux, and it's really, really, really dumb, and I don't like it, and I hate having to use it, but I am forced to. I started playing Bastion, because, Bastion's fun.
I hear, yeah, that's kind of fun. And now this guy.
That guy.
Well, this guy had a pretty interesting week. Like I mentioned earlier, Dedo I Meadow, he actually reviewed Fuduntu a couple of years back, and now he reviewed it again for version 13.1. And guess what? We got a 10 out of 10 from that guy. That's saying something.
10 being the lowest score?
We're definitely doing something right.
So 10 is the bottom, right?
Yeah.
No, that's as high as it'll go.
The bottom, as you said.
The bottom.
I don't know. He's pretty influential. A lot of people on the World Wide Web know about him. But yeah.
So a lot of people are aware
just
of
been
his
Steam
absolute
games.
despising
Bunch
of
of 'em.
Fuduntu.
Fuduntu is awesome.
Yes, it is.
Whatever. All right.
So, before we get started, we always like to whore ourselves out just a little bit.
Yeah, give us money. If you go to linuxgamecast.com/podcast, you can check out our RSS feeds for our HD video, SD video, and SD audio. And there's this handy little thing. It's called an Amazon affiliate link, where you can go shopping on. If you click on it, you can go shopping on Amazon. And if you buy crap, we get money from it, and it doesn't cost you anything. So you should click on it all the time.
That's right, and we also have...
You should actually edit your host file so that when you go to Amazon.com, it just goes right to that URL.
Better yet, edit other people's hosts. I mean, that's bad. I shouldn't say that, should I?
No, go ahead and edit other people's host file. They don't care.
That's right, and we also have...
Most people don't know what a host file is.
That's right. As we're saying here, though, but we do have some options so you can throw some wet, stinky cash our way. And that's via PayPal with a one-time donation. Anything you give us goes directly back into this show. You're looking at my mic, this hardware, that came from you guys. That mic right there, that came from you guys.
T. Brown Memorial microphone.
That headset right there, that came from you guys. It's all there, one-time donation. We really like it if you can kick us about, how much a month, Jordan?
About $3.50.
About $3.50. You don't have to be a sea monster.
Which, interestingly enough, is enough for one bus ride in my town.
Neat. Or $10 a month. And we do have some actually neat things. Anyone who does that, you're going to get access to not only a Spanish breakdown version of Unicorn Wizard, we also have a Christmas Eve breakdown of random things from me and Jordan, and a couple of other bits that are not released on the regular public feed. So you do that, you get that. You know, we know you just want to throw us the stinky cash because you love us.
Yeah, just do all those non-specifics.
This is
and,
extra
we'll
icing.
love you for it.
Yeah.
And of course, we always got to give a shout out to our favorite subreddit, _.
Linux Gaming.
Of course.
Yeah. Check those guys out. Under the
Check them out,
recommended
subscribe,
sites.
comment, be a part of that wonderful, wonderful community.
You can find
and
that on the
and now it's
site.
time for that dead horse that we beat every single week.
You know, man, this is not necessarily a dead horse this week now, is it?
No, actually, it's not. The horse is starting to twitch, as a matter of fact. It's kind of weird. I think we should beat it a bit more.
Well, it could be a zombie horse, but let's go ahead and jump into our
Steam
Linux
updates
of the week.
Eek.
Wow, you guys really got to get into this.
That was bad. That was really bad.
That was bad because Pedro was kind of jumping in there, but
So what do we
threw
got?
off my timing. I can't work under these conditions.
Throw the mic on the ground.
Drop mic, leave room.
Thump.
But Ven, there seems to be some sort of update with some sort of client.
Yeah, man, right out of Sweet Man Gabe's mouth, the Steam client beta update for February 5th. This brings a couple of things for basically big picture. That seems to be the large focus on this, but this also adds a tray indicator for Jordan's favorite distro, Fedora 18, and Pedro, I think
Pedro
you said...
that distro that he occasionally likes.
What was it? Ubuntu?
No, it works on Fuduntu as well. Because, it's based on Fedora, so it should work. Doesn't mean it always works, but in this case, yeah, it works.
And they fixed some crashes with some fun stuff. But there's also been 2 more updates since that initial story. For Linux, fix executable file system check, runtime crashes. Basically, in general, it crashes less. But I know, Jordan, you were saying that it's still going down like Paris Hilton in a Monaco nightclub.
Yeah, it's going down whenever I'm not using it. And actually, just before you mentioned it, I checked to see if it was still running, and it is. So maybe that update did fix it, and I'm just tripping balls.
Maybe it's crashed.
But Ven, I heard you got into a very exclusive type nightclub beta thing.
Yeah, well, it's Wargame, European Escalation, and Airland Battle. Not a whole lot to say about this other than they kind of screamed in my direction. They said, they were taking fiddly Gibbo. Anyway, they were doing that, taking 50 people in. I just threw my name in the hat, and they said, boom, here you go. And they contacted me, a little bit after. They was like, where's the video? Wire video? And so we were talking around how to hack the Steam client because there's no window mode. It looks like an awesome game. It's a beautiful game. Weighs in a bit heavy at 9 gigabytes. Runs fine. But
That's a lot.
yeah, unfortunately, this is one of those games where you need a tutorial to play it, and the game doesn't come with a tutorial. Have you ever had anything like that, where you had to read the instructions to play it?
Yeah, occasionally. But keep in mind, I come from the land of tabletop RPGs, so that's pretty much par for the course.
Ah, the sweet, sweet sounds of virginity.
Fuck you.
But that is coming up. It does work. I can promise you that there is a real-world Linux client. You know, you might see me, if you're following me on Steam, LinuxGameCast, jump into some games and, you know, what be this? It's cool, but don't everyone, like, send me that IM at one time. It's like, what's that? What's that? And so, that's kind of cool with that. What do we got up next, man?
I don't know. Pedro, what do we have next?
Well, next we have a little update. Seems like every site and their cat for the Steam client. Oh, we have another one. steamdb.info/Linux. And it's got all the Linux apps that work or are coming or show signs of Linux support.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I think we have a Shank 2 beta launch this week, along with Counter-Strike and a couple other games, right?
Yeah. Closure. There was a few more. Sorry, Closure, Psychonauts, Shank 2. You already mentioned that one. But yeah, a lot of games, a lot of Steam games coming in this week.
So, what kind of problems have we been having, Jordan?
Yeah, I have a very odd problem. Shank 2 through Steam doesn't run. Shank 2 through Humble Bundle works fine. And I have S-traced it, I have GDV'd it, and nothing seems to look wrong, so something's screwing up. I have no clue what it is, though. Klein or whatever the company is. Fix your shit.
I didn't have any problems with it. I mean, I think it originally nixed my Steam installer, which I had to reinstall, but I think that was one of the issues with when the Humble Bundle keys first rolled out with the Steam beta. You plug that in and it would download the Windows version of Shake, and I think that's it there and just kind of cocked everything up. How about you, Pedro? You haven't had too many problems with it, right?
No, I didn't have any problems at all. I just double-clicked on it, it installed, I double-clicked on it again, and it was running. There was one teeny tiny issue.
It killed a family
the
member,
gamepad
didn't it?
support is still iffy.
What do you mean?
Well,
Yeah.
it's based off an Xbox 360 controller, isn't it?
Yeah, that might have been it. Because I have one of these cheapo controllers, and, well, some of the keystrokes, it just wouldn't register them.
Yeah, I got one of these, and I was playing these Logitech ones, and I was playing Bastion, and all the face buttons, everything got shifted about 90 degrees. So it's kind of weird. I have to like mentally adjust. When it says press this button, I have to be like, no, I gotta press this button. It's odd, but
cool.
Yeah, there's that Psychonauts game that works too.
Yeah, that's right, man. We need to get right into that, man.
That's
I mean,
right.
there's not much to say about Psychonauts. It's Tim Schafer. It's awesome.
Yeah. When did what did this come out on, the PlayStation or
This came
Xbox?
out on PS2, Xbox. I don't think GameCube, but it did come out on PC. And yeah, I actually played it on PC. I didn't own it for PS2. But yeah, it's a fun game. Psychonauts, man.
It's a really fun game, and it's one of those story-oriented games, and it definitely tickles me the right way, because I love the game. I played it the first on PS2, and I've played it now all the way through on Linux when it first came out on the Humble Bundle. And I think I'm going to play it again now that it's on Steam, just so I can get those achievements.
Those delicious, delicious achievements.
You had some problems with it, though, didn't you, J-Man?
Well, not really. It was more, it doesn't let you automatically, you have to go through a cinematic before you can adjust your audio settings, and it was really, really loud, and I had it going through my speakers when I started it up at about like 3 o'clock in the morning, and that was a bit of a rude surprise.
Yeah, but the only problem I had with it is I couldn't figure out how to exit initially.
Yeah, it took a couple minutes for me to do that, but...
Yes, Glog78, you are correct. This is about Psychonauts. It's not your lucky
It is
day.
about Psychonauts.
But all in all, fun port. I think the graphics are holding up pretty well for the age of it, right?
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah. Assuming it was a PS2 game, they're actually holding up pretty good.
So, Pedro, what do we got coming up next?
Yeah, but I was just going to say Double Fine games tend to have that sort of timeless quality.
They do.
Yeah. Well, up next, we have a possible Linux sale coming. You know, those rumors and all that. That there's a Linux sale coming. Actually, the original the original thread was actually removed. I had to look up on Google Cache for this one. But yeah, it's here. Some evidences from the Steam translation servers where you get some screenshots saying, now through the end of the month, play the free-to-play Team Fortress 2 on Linux and get free tux item in-game. That's just one of them. And the others actually mention Steam for Linux release celebration sale. That one's pretty awesome.
So when does this look like it's going down?
Supposedly February 20th.
Yeah,
it reminds me of that one webcomic on Imgur where it's like, it's, hello son, it's Steam sale time. No Steam, no.
It's just
the guy's
cool,
wallet.
but I mean, it's something, you know, when I first thought this, I was like, terrible speculation on everyone's part. Then, you know, everyone, you know, I know Pedro's been on about it, and I've been on about it too. In the last 4 days, we've gotten more Steam games than in the past month.
Yep.
I know. This is good.
So, and it's kind of hard holding off buying every single one that comes out.
Yeah.
And waiting on the sale.
It is.
So,
But then once the sale hits, you're going to spend all your money on all these games, and then you're going to feel wonderful, and then you're going to feel terrible because you're broke.
we'll probably just end up giving them away, like we always do.
Yeah, like we always do.
So coming up next, man, this is something that I kind of picked up on, a Linux-friendly mini PC, fast enough for Steam games. Now, Jordan already called this meh.
Yeah, we have a couple of these guys at work, these Zotac Z boxes. They're all right. I mean, they're not the greatest thing ever. They're cheap. I think you have to actually buy the RAM for it, and you have to provide your own hard drive. I mean, it's a shitty little Celeron, but
Will
does
it be
its
good
job.
enough to play Steam games, though? I mean,
Yeah, if it has a discrete video card, can play games. Why not? You need
that's a
cheap
fair
console.
question. I mean, but would you buy one?
Would I buy one? No, I would
Pedro?
not. I think they're pretty crappy.
At this
to be
point,
honest.
no.
No, but we all have big honking PCs, so I guess there's not much of an issue.
Yeah.
But that's that.
So-
There'll be some links in the show notes. This comes from hardware.slashdot.org. Always check out the show notes at linuxgamecast.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link under the video. Check it out.
And the gay Ben speaks.
Oh, the gay bin.
The gay Ben's been playing a bit of operating system Monopoly, and he's come across a get out of jail free card.
Has he now?
Oh yeah, according to this this
Also,
interview he gave on
for those back in the
geekwire.com.
Let's see. Where does this critter pick up at? What does he have to say while I'm looking for the
He's talking about how an open ecosystem is actually beneficial to the PC gaming industry, and how having Linux as a viable gaming platform allows for more innovation because there's less issue with licensing and toolkits and whatnot. And
Yeah.
just because
He's-
he's hating on Windows 8, that's basically it. The
Yep.
moral of Gabe's talk was Windows 8 sucks, Linux awesome.
Yeah, man, that's really bugging me. I can't find the time code. Is it not
Well,
in the...
this was at DICE 2013.
Yeah, well, I got the video right.
Yeah.
Either or,
Yeah.
check that out. I mean, that's what he says is what Jordan said. And
Yeah.
now, here's something that has always kind of worried me, is do you think... I know it's not true, but you got to always play the angel's advocate and be the bad guy. So what if all this is just a scare tactic to get Microsoft to back away from their Microsoft Store policy where everything has to go through Microsoft?
I honestly don't think that's the case. Microsoft is still going to go through with it just because there's way too much money to be had. if Microsoft can pull it off, they'll definitely make a lot of money. But I mean, I don't think it's a scare tactic. I don't think that's the case at all.
Do you deny the moon landing, Pedro? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a skeptic. I am, but in this case, I want to trust Valve. They've done good by me so far, and no, I don't think it's a scare tactic
they've already
either.
put all this time and effort
they
into
genuinely do hate where Windows is going.
And I mean, they put in all this time and effort to port these games and to push developers to start moving their games to Linux. I don't think that's just going to be a scare tactic. I think they put a bit too much oomph. Or put a bit of too much resources into that.
Oomph.
Just for it to be a scare tactic.
Yeah, I think they've really thrown some weight behind it. Yep.
But one of our favorite person is in the news again.
Oh, you know what? I hate to say this, but, you know, Mr. Carmack had something to say about the Linuxing.
Mr. Carmack does. By the way, this is our not-so-subtle transition to our news section.
By the way, it's the news section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
This is the news.
Like
and we started with some
Yay.
guy raking on Linux. Because, you know, they can.
John Carmack, what he said, improving wine for Linux gaming seems like a better plan than lobbying individual game developers for native ports. Why the hate?
I think the same people who got to
you
Neil
go first?
Armstrong
Go
actually
ahead.
got to John Carmack.
What were their names? All right, Pedro, what?
No. Go ahead. I'm just saving this one.
I honestly, I think wine is sort of a stopgap measure at best. The more abstraction layers you put in between the software and the operating system, the poorer it's going to run.
Wine was a stopgap until we actually watched Valve get behind Linux gaming, so now we can point at that and point at the developer and go, you're doing it wrong.
And there was a giant flame war on Reddit about that under our Linux.
Carmack actually responded very
Carmack's
lengthy.
replying.
Yes.
This thread actually brings up a couple of points that I really agree with. In that we shouldn't actually be focusing on just exclusively Linux technologies. We should be focusing on building games with better cross-platform tools.
Fair point.
I mean, really, you want a healthy PC gaming ecosystem with input from multiple operating systems and whatnot. So I think emphasis on developing these really very strong cross-platform tools.
We should read the entire article.
Sorry, what?
He actually uses Linux and wine. If you kick over to the chat right quick.
Yep.
We know that. I mean, Carmack was responsible for the first, Doom and Quake and everything up until Prey, basically, because he thought Linux was neat. He just doesn't see it as a viable business model, which I think.
And they keep going back to the Quake Live and the Quake Arena.
Oh, that's such a horrible piss poor. Yes, let's take a 10-year-old game and make money off of it, right?
Yeah, and they didn't even advertise it anyways. It was just like, oh yeah, you can play Quake in your browser.
It's a rubbish metric, man. Did you ever play Quake Live, Pedro?
I never played Quake Live.
I did just for, I think once, maybe twice, just for testing purposes and showing it to other people, but it was bad. It was really bad.
I wouldn't call it bad. I think it was interesting that it was running in the browser, but outside of that...
no one
didn't bring anything new.
He's basically saying, oh, well, we put out 2 games for Linux that didn't really contribute anything to the greater gaming ecosystem. And yeah, they didn't sell. How about that? Linux is bad for the gaming market.
All I have to say is I'm just glad that this is not 2003 and Carmack is still relevant. Okay?
Indeed.
Yeah.
So, what do we got? Better news, right?
Better news.
GitDeb
and Playdub.net are back.
For the Debian users, the Ubuntu users, Mint users, not Funduntu users, not Fedora users. Just all the cool kids.
Just all the cool kids.
No, fortunately, they did have an up-to-date backup on the old server, so they've stuck everything together with, 2 parts MacGyver, 1 part duct tape, and, hey, you can now go back, get some games. That was actually handy for getting games running that I couldn't find repositories or actually get it to build sometimes. And you ever run into that where you have to end up replacing too many libs and you're like, I don't want to get into that nightmare?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to keep it clean. Now, I'll hack something out in a minute, but when it's 2 or 3 things, so get dab.net, playdab.net, good for apps, good for games. It's back up. Beautiful thing. Both of these heathens never used it because they're evil. End of story.
We like
We're
our
not evil.
RPMs. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. So, man, Braid.
Such a time sink, dude.
Well, the developer said something a bit naughty, didn't he?
There's a lot of anti-Linux sentiment on this show, man.
Yeah.
They picked a week to start really taking a dump on us.
Ah, what does he have to say,
And
Pedro?
yeah, what does he have to say?
Well, he says, well, Linux is a 20% productivity drain. What the hell does he mean about that? Well, if you read the article, it's actually all the way down, and he says, at the end of a project, I just don't have 5% effort left anymore. If it requires everything. But the current Linux situation is way more than 5% productivity gain. I don't know exactly what it is, but if I were to guess, I would say it's something like, I don't know, 20%?
No, he actually
Idiot.
talks like that. That was not a dramatic reenactment. That was almost spot on.
Yeah.
It's just whining, man.
It
If you
is.
want to-
It's just because you don't know how to use a tool doesn't make it a bad tool.
And Jordan, you have preached on this fact multiple times about kids being brought up in Microsoft development environments, and when they
It spoils you. One of my previous coworkers, David Humphrey, has a wonderful blog post about how Visual Studio is such a trap for developers because it takes care of
Yep.
everything and they don't learn how to question or learn the parts of their development environment.
Amen. Hail Santa.
Hail
It's
Santa.
like Mr. Blowhair and Mr. Carmack need a big Microsoft stick, actually pulled out of their ass.
Well,
Sorry.
he said it was going to. It took, originally he said, "Oh, Braid's something you could never get ported." Then the Mac port was made, and he's saying it's such a big
and
drain.
then we had some input from the Linux development side.
So,
didn't we, then?
yeah, you might know this guy named Ryan C. Gordon. You might know him as
AKA
Iculus.
Iculus.
I just was like, yo, dog, I need some feedback on this. So I screamed at him, not for the first time, but he's like, yeah, not long. But, he was working from the original Mac port. And when, Ryan says, not long, you're probably talking half a month. Right.
Yeah.
See, can't get better than that. Do you know one thing I hate? You know
What
one
do
thing I
you hate?
miss? DRM.
Really?
Yeah, there's no good DRM on the Linuxies, man.
Well, our friend of the show, Ryan C. Gordon, again, we gotta plug him, has his own ideas about DRM on Linux.
And he says, I keep having this conversation. What do you use for DRM on Linux games? Well, I make the user install Linux before they can play.
Best kind of DRM ever. No questions
Yeah.
asked, no quarter given.
Yeah, and, I first ran into this with Unreal Tournament 99 because it always annoyed me on the Windows that it did a CD check. The Linux version didn't even bother with it. It was like, just play it.
Yep.
No point. You're going to get around it anyway. And not saying that they were pirates. It was like, yeah. So I just wanted to throw that in. I thought it was kind of neat. And we don't
It
need a
was.
ton of DRM. We have a ton of DRM. It's called Steam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Shank
the one
2,
DRM
you posted
platform
something about
currently
Shank
on
2 at
Linux,
that issue.
and it doesn't hamper you like all that DRM crap you get on that other, OS.
Well, Jordan, you're
Not
right,
that
man.
it
Shank
was.
ran into that. We also ran into that. We were going to do a players episode, and
Yeah,
the
and
humble
Shank
version.
doesn't let you do Shank 2 doesn't let you do multiplayer unless you're on Steam.
Yeah, that just
Yeah, that's
How about
there's
that?
got to be an exception somewhere.
wasn't really happy with that, man. But let's get into some games since this is Linux Gamecast, guys.
So, Live-A-Link. Let's just cut to it. Plays like Killing Floor. It's sci-fi Killing Floor.
Yep.
I'll take a look at the video here.
Yeah. Pedro, I think you and I took a look at it.
Yeah, I actually played it a little bit. Like you said, it feels a lot like Killing Floor with a futuristic vibe to it, but Ven did point out one thing. There's no multiplayer. There's no co-op.
There is.
It's just single.
There isn't. I just found myself like kind of hiding behind doors, in between rounds, grabbing upgrades, grabbing ammo, finding the best gun I can afford. Stand next to the door. Bam, 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 bam. Reload. Bam, 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 bam.
Oh man, it's been a long time since I've seen a single-player first-person shooter, but that used to be the norm way back when.
Yeah, way back when in caveman times.
It looks pretty cool, man. This critter can be picked up and purchased on Desura for what, 10 quid?
It was on sale for $8. I don't know how long that was gonna last. So
cool. Definitely give that a look. And this comes from UbuntuVibes.com. Yeah, and I think it's running on the Unities, right?
Yeah, it is a Unity game, so it just runs out the box.
Pretty much out of the box, man. With that, we have our favorite game with the worst community.
Han. It's not so much that it's a bad game. It's not so much of a learning curve. It's more of a wall you slam into.
And by wall, you mean the 12-year-old screaming faggot constantly.
No, 12-year-old people don't have the patience to learn how to play Han. I don't know. I never could get into it. MOBAs.
Well, apparently every single one of them had already taken the time to have sex with my mother.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of free time because all they do is play MOBAs.
Oh.
And with Dota 2 coming to Linux, because that's based off the Source engine, there's going to be more of them. Apparently, Dota 2's community is a lot better.
Well, you know, I never really... Yeah, I don't know, Pedro. Have you played Dota?
Well, I kind of had to, because I had 7 copies on my Steam inventory. So I actually tried the game to see how would it be like, and yeah, there's still a bunch of 12-year-olds screaming faggot at you at the top of their lungs.
That's pretty much things, but 3.0 brings a couple of options, man. Let's see, what do we have here? Bots are now scripted in Lua, and what did you say it was?
Oh, yeah. Lua. It's like one big .conky RC.
MOBAs have never really been my thing, man, but hey, each to your own. Check that out. It's at rootgamer.com. You can download it free to play. Does that have like one of those, you give them some wet stinky caches and get upgrades or
something? I think they have like a store for characters and whatnot, so you can either play like the weekly rotation or you can like buy characters. But you can buy them if you play enough as well, so...
Right on, right on.
So, how about Unvanquished? More like unplayable.
Oh, funny
Where's
your Alpha 12
so
now? No, man, Alpha 12 has arrived, and it is completely unplayable. And unplayable, I don't mean it's a bad game. I mean, we can't play the damn thing. Nobody has had any luck getting this running.
I grabbed the static, I grabbed the source, compiled it, no work.
How about you, Pedro?
Yep. I grabbed the generic Linux installer, I grabbed the source code, I actually grabbed the deb file and tried using Alien to install it, and it wouldn't work.
On this end, tried to use the deb file, no luck. Did the default installer, pink screen far as I got. So I never got to see this happy-looking guy here, which does look nice. I just wish we could play him.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
You're damn right, Elder Snake. That is a burn.
Awesome.
It's a well-deserved burn. But, I guess there's some new things in here. They have motion blur, bot overkill, resource test, updated installer, team binds, graphic fixes, and code changes. I would love to give a better scream about what this is, doing, but fail here, failure, and failure. Can't play it, guys. You need to sort that business.
Fix it!
As you eloquently said. But, probably one of the best games of the year, I think, was
I was going to say, speaking of 12-year-old screaming faggot at you.
But, no, this would be a 12-year-old screaming flounder at you. Ooh.
Yes, with Cod of Duty.
The premier first-person shooting fish in a barrel simulator.
I saw your gameplay footage of it. It's a game I really want to play.
You know, it is fun for what it is. It was basically, it says here, for my January 1st bound game, I wanted to do something that'd be both small in scope and something I hadn't really done before. Based on a joke his friends made about COD being on the internet, I decided to make a first-person shooter where all of your enemies are fish. And that's what he did.
Yeah.
What did you think of it, Pedro? I think you've had a chance to play it. You said something about
Yeah.
it looked horrible. You were unsatisfied with the quality of the immersive gameplay.
No, I was actually pretty satisfied. It actually starts out as being a shooting fish in a barrel simulator, but then just as soon as the first level ends, you actually get the whole modern FPS thing where you're ambushed and the character dies, and then you're teleported into the mind of another character, and suddenly you shoot more fish in the barrel, and then you have to infiltrate a base and kill floaty fish that shoot back at you. What the hell's that, man?
That's called a wet dream.
That actually sounds pretty clever. That's pretty subversive. I like it. They give, no pun intended, they give you a bait and switch.
All right. I'll give him that.
Let's see. Where's
yeah.
that at? Where's that at? That's at
rjevans.net.
You'll find it right there.
But,
or check out in the show notes. What's that, Pedro?
But yeah, definitely give this one a go, because even though I was actually kind of pissed off at that tiny little thing, I actually enjoyed playing it, and the Minecraft-like graphics are awesome.
It's the flat-out ridiculousness of it when it sets in. It's like, no, this is really the objective of the game. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely give this one a go.
Now this one's all Jordan's because he picked it up, man.
Yeah, I paid $2.50 for it. This is Rose&Time, and this is from SophieHolden.com. And it's a Unity game, so of course it works out of the box. It's kind of neat. Basically, you have like this floating air level, and you like walk around it. And when you get to a point, you travel back in time, and then to another point in the map. And the point is to sort of avoid yourself as you're going through the map. And I really like the concept. It's really unique, and the gameplay looks really cool. And the gameplay is pretty cool. Until you figure out, all you have to do is turn around and make sure that you don't look at yourself for like the next 5 minutes. And then
is it, like a Doctor Who thing? You get the time paradox thing going on, and it's like Airwolf and mayonnaise show up?
Basically, all you have to do is know the direction that you're going to go for when you respawn at the other point, when you loop back in time, and then just not look there. But the level, I think this would benefit from like user level design, because it's a really cool concept, and I really like the game. And that's basically it.
So definitely worth the $2.50.
Oh yeah, definitely worth the $2.50. If you are, unless you're like a diabetic and you're in desperate need of like blood sugar, and you have to spend $2.50 on like a candy bar, go and spend $2.50 on Rose&Time and play it. It's fun. I like it.
Become a diabetic vampire and just gratis,
Syphilitic ninja vampires.
That's right,
yeah.
man. And pick that up at
Ninja vampires who have syphilis.
.com. She also has a bunch of other games up as well.
She does. She is a she's a productive lass. There's quite a few games.
That's cool, man. And since we're done screaming at you, you like to scream back at us. And that means
Mailbox.
Feedback. Here it comes.
Feedback time.
You want to take a shot at that name?
I can't see it. I can't see it through the Google Plus Hangout. Give me a second. You like?
This, the topic was Linux_gaming winner. Now, you might remember that contest from a little back, right?
We've added some keys to some games. You may have.
Yeah, we tossed you guys some goodies, so, you could make the graphics and play with the games, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But he writes, and he says, "Hey, I noticed you didn't like my logo, and that's fine. Everyone to themselves. Just out of curiosity, whose did you want to win? Well, then, I think we should."
Why...
Show them, Ven. Show them.
Even
show
have to
them.
There. Genius.
I mean,
The obvious
layered.
winner.
You can see that the artist was in pain. There's despair. There's suffering.
You
but
would
if you
have
look really
to be
closely,
an arch user
you can
to
see
not
the,
like
You can
that.
see this hope. This is art
It's
at its
perfect.
finest.
It's there's just no words. Jordan's choking.
Whoa!
Trying
Put
to
your clothes
describe
back on, Pedro.
It's perfect.
Don't want to ever see that. again.
Like I look at this and it resonates in my very soul. If I had one.
I was about to mention that, but all right, good. You cleared that one up. So, yeah, you know, all tongue in cheek, I wrote him back, and he's like, "Yeah, I like that one too." He kind of got the joke after that. But they're watching us, man.
They're watching us.
Yeah, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you, and here's some proof of that. Tom
Yeah,
Tower.
Tom Tomaszewski.
These are the creators of, what was the name of the game last week we were playing?
Word
Trap
Trap
Dungeon?
Word Trap Dungeon, also from Mouse Trap, or whatever it was called.
Mouse Guard
Mouse
or something like
yeah.
that. No, Mouse Guard was the pen and paper
Mousecraft,
RPG.
maybe.
Mousecraft.
It was Mousecraft, yeah.
Anyway, he writes back, "Yeah, we're watching you, Vin. Thanks for pointing out the weak stuff about Word Trap Dungeon." And I think we were fair about the game last week. We didn't nail it because we said, "Hey, man, this is pre-production alpha stuff. Here's just some things that, you know, you might need to spell certain words like whores and things like that. Sluts."
Yeah. These are perfectly cromulent words. You need to embiggen your vocabulary.
And it looks like they're taking, you know, not advice, that's a strong word to use, but some of our humble
Tips.
suggestions. Except
Yes.
from Pedro. He doesn't count yet. No,
Yeah. I'm not a native English speaker, so I don't have anything to add to that game.
But definitely, guys, thanks for screaming back in our direction. That was good of you. They even posted a link to Linux Gamecast episode 24, picking on Arch. Arch! But Aaron, San,
Filippo.
Now, you remember that game we were talking about last week, Jordan?
Yeah.
That game with that $20,000 budget.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, kind of looked like Star Fox on an Atari.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't watch last week's episode.
Well.
But he did want to write to let us know that he Linux support for Race the Sun on Kickstarter. And I wrote him back and I said, yeah, solid. Let us know when you have a playable demo. And he's like, will do. Hoping to get an updated demo within a week. See, that's what I do like, because if you go to LinuxGameCast.com, we have this little thing
We got this big old disclaimer.
that I like to call
Yep.
Kryptonite, because we used to get about 5 or 6 Kickstarter projects a week, easy. So then I threw this up. Attention Kickstarter projects, we're unable to mention the project unless you provide even a prototype, a demo. Not being an ass, just saying we need...
That's fair. We report on Linux games. If you're
Right.
going to want your game featured on here, it should have a playable Linux version.
We don't report on vaporware, you know? We're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Linux support is a stretch goal, but we need you to talk about it. No, we don't do that. But yeah,
Commit.
this little bit has been like, I mean, it's almost been not, but, you know, when somebody comes back by and they say, hey, we are working on it and we're going to give you a copy, we're going to mention your game, like it or not.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, effort. And
You
Pedro
know,
will
the
give-
road to vaporware is paved with Linux support.
Mm,
Well, promises of Linux support, anyway.
No kidding, man.
Mhm.
Do you hear me? Oh.
But I think that about wraps things up, don't it?
You know, I think it does, man. But we need to tell everyone where they can find us.
Yeah, you can check us out at youtube.com/LinuxGameCast, or you can come to our wonderful little site called LinuxGameCast.com. It's a magical place where
Check
dreams
out
come
these
true and try to devour
categories.
you.
Yeah, we have news, reviews, how-to, Steams, players, me and Pedro, and I think Zimba, if he's still in here from the chat, was he playing with us?
Simmer, give us something. Because
Some-
you were playing with us the other day, weren't
Unaccounted
you?
for. We played the
You
McDroid
guys
beta.
don't invite me to play games.
Yeah, well, you used to stay up past 10 o'clock at night, too, old man.
I got a
Yeah,
job.
Zimmer.
Yeah. But check that out at LinuxGameCast.com. We got the forums if you want to scream about anything in general. Check out our categories. Everything's listed. The podcast button is where you can find the information about the show with the links and the ways to give us some wet, stinky cash. But that's going to wrap it up. So, cue the music. This guy.
Wave to the lovely people.
Well, let's tell them who you are, Mr. Sveg, Master Sveg.
Yes, I'm Jordan Svung, and you can find me cleverly disguised on Twitter at The Burning Pool, or not so cleverly disguised at Google Plus at Jordan Svung.
And
what about you guys?
Well, I'm on Twitter too, but Ben forgot the link down there. So you get Google Plus.
You earn
plus
one title a week, Pedro.
And if you want to add me on Twitter, it's at unaccounted4. It's the numeral, not the number. So FOUR.
That's not a numeral. That's a word.
And every week, if you're tuning in live, and if you're watching this later, why aren't you watching live? Probably because we go on at random times.
LinuxGameCast.com/live.
That's right. We have the chat room.
We have our chat.
And Zimber finally spoke up, but that's because there's a couple minutes of lag between us and the chat room.
Yeah, we're doing a bit of a wave. Definitely check us out live. And I'm Vin Stone at Vin Stone Linux Gamecast on the Twitter nets, plus Vin Stone on the G+. So let's just wave at the moment. Bye, guys. Don't get in a die and fiery wreck.
Bye.
Survive long enough to watch next week's show.